Konnichiwa! I'm Alex with Lexco Moto Gymkhana, and in this episode, I am going to talk to you about something that's going to trip you out at first. Did you know that Moto Gymkhana riders do not use any clutch? That's right. If you want, stop this video right now. Go look up some videos of some good Japanese riders or from the Netherlands. Go watch some good riders. You'll notice they're not using any clutch. The only time they use clutch is to get started and when they stop. That's the only clutch that they use. The only exception is going to be some supermoto riders and dual sport dirt bike riders. They do use some clutch, and I think it's because their gearing is so tall that they really need to use a little bit of clutch. But they use it a little bit differently. They're not really feathering in the clutch and using the friction zone. They're bringing it in all together, carrying speed around the cone, and then letting the clutch back out and getting back on the throttle smoothly. But that's the only exception. If you're on a sport bike, naked bike, if you're on a big adventure bike, I own a big BMW R1200 GS. Even on that bike, I don't use any clutch. How do you adjust your speed then? How do you slow down? I'm going to make another video in a little bit called the 4 ways of slowing. But the vast majority of the slowing you're going to do, the way you adjust your speed, is you're going to be modulating between the throttle and the brakes constantly. Mostly rear brake, but once you start getting a little bit faster, and in my level 2 video, I'm going to start talking about how to use the front brake. For now, just know that, yeah, you're going to be using an overlap technique, modulating between the rear brake and the throttle. Later on, we're going to talk about modulating between the front brake and the throttle, trailing on and trailing off the brake. So if you aren't used to using 2 fingers on your lever for the brakes and keeping some fingers on the throttle, start getting used to that now. Because once we get into our intermediate series, level 2, we're going to start talking about modulating between the front brake and the throttle. It's very important. But for this beginner series, level 1, we're going to mostly be talking about dragging the rear brake very lightly. That's how you're going to adjust your speed. So, no clutch. Work on the figure 8s that we were working on earlier, taking nice wide paths, and work on adjusting your speed by lightly, very lightly, using the rear brake, just dragging it a little bit to adjust your speed. It's got to be modulating, though, between the throttle and the rear brake. That's how you're adjusting your speed. So, riders, one concern you might have about not using clutch is, what if my RPMs drop too low and the engine starts to lug? Yeah, that's a valid concern. Moto Gymkhana teaches you to really be conscious and pay attention to your RPMs. If you let your RPMs drop too low, yeah, your engine's going to start to lug and you're not going to have any drive to get around that cone and get to the next one. This is why we need to get on the throttle as soon as possible when we're rounding the cones. And we're going to talk in level 2 a little bit more about the timing of the braking and the throttle. So just for now, be conscious that, yeah, you're going to have to keep track of your RPMs and not let them drop too low. Riders, I hope you enjoyed this video. Until the next one, arigato and peace.